every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And all the people that instituted the New Lad movement cut their teeth as journalists during the days of Red Wedge and the GLC and the real boom of left-wing thinking and ideology in the 80s, you know, the Billy Bragg and the Redskins and the SWP and anti-nuke marches, and it was a very active time, and you would know, you can't call women birds anymore, no, it's sexist, and you were just trying to get your head around it. And in the end, there was so much for men to think about, they just thought, oh, bollocks to it.
For some, political correctness had seemed like a linguistic straitjacket. Bubbling just beneath the surface was a whole lexicon of sexist terms, just waiting to get out. And in the mid-90s, they were unleashed with the coming of the new lad.
You can walk down the road, see a nice girl, and you go, bosh.
If they're a bit bish-bosh, tip-top, ding-dong, woof-woof, meow, then game on, Raymond.
Well, no, it's always birds, isn't it? It's always birds, or Doris. Last night went out, had a few beers, had a curry, had a fight, as lads do. Pulled this bird, went home and boshed her.
When New Laddism appeared, if it were movement at all, its main interest was in releasing the manacles of political correctness. So, you know, being happy to talk about sex, for example, in a vocabulary that didn't feel that you had to wear kid gloves to talk about it.
And it assumed that women had won, and it was sort of a rearguard action. Do you know, so it was built on the premise that women had got what they wanted, so they couldn't ever be insulted by people talking in this way or using this kind of language, because it was strictly understood that it was just for fun.
Men just having fun and using casual sexist terms was sweeping back into vogue. In 1994, a magazine came onto the market which celebrated the return of this type of male attitude. With its racy and witty use of language, Loaded was an overnight success.
It was really clear that there wasn't a magazine that was reflecting what was going on in Britain in the early 90s. There weren't any significant club magazines, there weren't really any cutting-edge football magazines. Men's magazines tended to be about some sort of beautiful Thatcherite lifestyle, of Armani coats, Church's shoes and Range Rovers. And most of the guys I knew were wearing jeans, Ben Shermans, trainers, going to clubs, going to football, going to festivals, and it was really just to create a magazine that reflected that.
They had a particular house style, and because they were shocking, and if you're shocking, you get lots of attention, and if you get attention, you get sales. The other magazines panicked and thought, we've got to copy them if we want to get on. And they all had busty blondes, an occasional brunette, in a tight-fitting push-up bikini on the front cover. And inside it was all about your personal organiser and your car.
What we were doing as well was we were using a lot of our favourite phrases from comedy and putting it into the magazine and using them as headlines and section headers. So we used to plunder the Fast Show before the Fast Show. The Fast Show ran for a couple of series before anyone really noticed it. So we used, for instance, Scorchio, which was their Channel 9 spoof foreign news show.
Monto Blanco, Scorchio, Costa, Scorchio, Meteorologicos mañana, oh, Scorchio.
Butros Gali. Butros Gali.
As well as Good Work Fella, we had a counter column where we were slagging stuff off called Bunch of Arse.
I think that's terribly funny, a bunch of arse. How can you have a bunch of arse? And yet there's a kind of delicious creativity about putting those words together.
And people thought we'd invented that, and we wasn't. It came from a Basil Fawlty line in Fawlty Towers, where Basil Fawlty goes, bunch of grapes, that's a bunch of arse.
Tell him if he doesn't get on the ball, you're going to bust his ass.
Bust his?
I'll tell him.
No, I'll tell him. Leave it to me. I've got it. Bust his ass. All that. And 2 green salads.
Here we are. 1 green salad and 1 Wardo salad.
I thought
yes. Oh, would you excuse me 1 moment?
You hear me? It's not good enough. That's a bunch of arse. That's what that is.
It's fine.
Why can't you make a Waldorf salad?
Waldorf salad.
First thing tomorrow, you get the ingredients for Waldorf salad, or I'm going to break your bottle.
These were our icons, the Happy Mondays. Harry Enfield, The Fast Show, Basil Fawlty. They were the people that were affecting the tone of voice and the actual words that we used. The one word that we definitely reintroduced into the printed word as a description of women was bird. But, you know, I'd spent 4 or 5 years knocking around with rock bands and there's some birds outside. Or are there any birds? You know, it was just a phrase that was in use amongst that mainly male, you know, rock and club culture.
The laddishness is a real way of, bang, making a splash. Rather than being calm, considered and thinking about things, burn all the rule books and just do what the fuck you like.
She get it from out to 10 minutes, she can have it big time.
Out on the pull, out on the pull. I'd turn around, look at my mate and go, nice.
It's a minky, yeah, minky, 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 minky.
Yeah, if you were doing a bit of DIY, what would you use, Black & Decker or a Bosch? If they say Bosch, you're in X, then they're not going for the Black & Deckers.
It's the way you say it, it's minky.
Probably the best place for lad stuff is Roger's Profanosaurus, that wonderful dictionary brought out by Viz. Great stuff. I mean, obsessed with farting and with defecation, with urination and all this kind of stuff. Because basically what it is, it's a bunch of lads, 4 in the morning, blind drunk, emailing some bollocks into Viz, and good luck to them.
As an outsider, when you come into any group, they've got nicknames, code, passwords, and all these different things to communicate with each other, and you automatically feel quite excluded. But when you're in on it, you feel, right, I'm part of the gang. It's the most childish aspect of the whole new lad thing, is it's no different to boys against girls in the playground, all in for war. It's that, just with tits.
And a lot of people say slapper, and I think it means bird, you know, woman. A general term for birds, isn't it? Totty, nice minge. Sometimes you just go out and get mullered and you want some minky. I am mullered for minking.
And these aggressive terms for going out and looking for members of the opposite sex, on the pull, on the sniff, but then you get out trouting and sharking.
You can say you're sharking women. There's girls shark, men just go on the prowl. Put my arm round and dribble in her ear.
Particularly, you come back again and again with the new lads to the language of mating rituals and the language of women, and you get a whole lot of words, very unpleasant sexist words, swamp donkey, munter, Nora, Doris, dragon, all these words for unattractive women, women you don't want to know, and only a few words like oof is a good one, oof meaning a really attractive bird, you know, real top-totty.
A bit of top-totty.
It's a bit of top-totty, a bit of arse. A bit of totty. Bit of totty. A bit of girl-lush totty. Bit of girl-lush totty, my babber. Where's that to, my darling? Give it a big one.
There are hundreds of words for being drunk in new lad slang, words like languid, mullered, moosed out, faced.
Going out with a lash, getting pissed, then go get myself shit-faced, wankered.
I don't know if there were 100 different terms for getting pissed, but I always had 100 different excuses for getting pissed.
Oh, getting bollocks, getting shit-faced, one too many.
Mashed up, fucking wankered, rat-arse, yeah, absolutely smashed. Cider, cider me up, landlord. There you go.
Some men found the whole business of being a sensitive, caring guy way too much hard work. They just couldn't keep up with it. They went back to the idea of running around self-indulgently, just partying. So I think they're lads rather than men, really. And women don't want lads, they want men.
What's wrong with this lad here?
We're in a period of the shrinking male. Feminism has been rather indifferent to this, and it seems to feel that utopia could be created if men would just be like women. So great glorification is given to the man who changes nappies, the man who is very solicitous of his wife, and so on. We do want to encourage those values, but ultimately we don't want to make men merely ciphers in a domestic arrangement where a woman rules. Women think that they want the feminized man, think that they want the docile man, but in point of fact, nature may want the high testosterone man. So it is through using language that may seem misogynistic, that men are actually able to boost their own testosterone levels, and actually this is what women want, or what they need, okay, for procreation in evolution. It's a historical fact that when men are in groups, the language gets very competitive aggressive, and misogynistic. It's actually a form of male bonding. It probably dates back to the hunter-gatherer period when men had to go out on dangerous forays and had to bond together into a pack. We find it among soldiers, we find it on football teams, in fact, probably in the corporation when the men go off to the toilet together. By externalizing and objectifying women, right, the men can indicate that their relation to each other is free of homoerotic tensions. Men can come together in a kind of communion of fellows without any implication that their attraction to each other is based on sex. So actually, making women into the enemy or the other is intrinsic to male identity.
Slang is all about a male point of view. It has thousands of words for women, vaginas, menstruation, so on and so forth. They are all negative. Not all, because there are words that talk about attractive women. But the attractive woman is probably going to be promiscuous. I mean, that's going to be a subtext in the slang. If you look at the words for vagina, if you look at the taxonomy of these words, you'll find it's all to do with biting and vagina dentata and a pit or a slimy, narrow passage or whatever it might be. Where the penis is all toys for boys. It's all clubs and guns and so on and so forth. And all the copulation words are what you do with your jolly club and your jolly gun to this hapless, slimy vagina dentata passage. But there's no doubt about it that if you look at the main areas of slang, men are dictating the terms, and those terms tend to be, if not wholly misogynistic, then certainly less than sympathetic towards women.
But some modern women also wanted a piece of the action. Not content to see lads having fun without them, the ladette was born. She looked every bit as raunchy as her male counterpart, and her language was every bit as in your face.
If a nice bloke goes past, we'll go, would you get it? Us guys now, we're all drinking loads, we're all having a good time, and we're, you know, people might say we were slappers because we're quite up for a laugh and we're quite up for drinking some beers.
You had this thing called the ladette come along, which is just the lad with breasts. It's just mouthy women now. They're more assertive. I would hate to be a teenage boy today.
We're laddettes, we go out, we drink pints, we do whatever we want. I mean, who cares?
You take us exactly how we are. If you don't
like if you don't like us, get lost.
The language of the new lad, which is essentially macho bravado, very male-oriented, has actually been picked up, I think, by women to quite an extent.
Slaughtered, trolleyed,
wasted,
wrecked, bollocks, wankered.
Slang users are not primarily men anymore, but slang itself is totally male. What that says about the success or lack of it of the women's movement, I don't know, and what that also says of how much, to what extent the women's movement really care whether slang is real. I would imagine that, yes, the misogyny that is innate in so much of this slang is something that feminists would like to see the back of, but it ain't going to happen.
Women do talk about totty now, meaning men.
If you're tossy, then it means you're worth a squirt, which is the way.
And they talk about six-packs.
It's gotta be. Well-toned. Well-toned.
Baby oil, baby oil.
Yeah. No hair on the chest, but a complete stomach muscle, six-pack thing. It's gotta be.
They're developing their own language of kind of sexual appreciation. But you also get it with really taboo language. And you now hear women, certainly young female students, coming into the university in the morning saying, I feel absolutely cunted. And, you know, this kind of tremendous, seemingly taboo term just means knackered, tired, exhausted. You know, I was out trouting last night, or, you know, clubbing, or larging it.
If we're out on the Fergal, as in Fergal sharking, yeah. So usually if someone's out on the shark or on the Fergal, you can tell because they're usually at the bar buying a bloke drinks, and we'll stand behind them going like this. Just going, oh, yay!
The word shag, which it wasn't that long ago that was a nasty taboo term, and I think you see it in the media, but you hear it all the time among respectable, if you like, adolescents. Shag is used as a term of endearment. Hi, shag. Hello, shag. But it's also used with its meaning of, you know, have sex with, but absolutely openly and freely by people from all walks of life.
If you're tossy, then it means you're worth a squirt.
You're a slag. Tossy, slag, tough shit.